media deal done. That was something I missed all the fun on Friday with Kliavkoff and the press conference.
Yeah, let's talk about that. What did you think coming out of that press conference? Did you listen to it?
I did. I watched it. I watched it live. It was at 9 or 10 o'clock our time, and I think I believe, Paul, I was reaching out to you because I couldn't quite get it on my app, so I went, what the hell? I have the Pac-12 network on cable, so I watched it live. Very uncomfortable. I felt like Kliavkoff did whatever he could, but you could tell that he was very uncomfortable. I thought James Crepea, who will join us today at 5 o'clock, opened up the can of worms when he followed up with the question about, we are purposely not announcing the media deal today so we can focus on football. And James, 2 or 3 questions later, said, that would insinuate you have a deal. And he said, I thought it was uncomfortable. I say this, and I know George Kliavkoff's making a ton of money for the Pac-12, but it just seems like that they can't get out of their own way. This is not about whether they're going to find a deal. They will find a deal. Whatever the deal is, will it be enough? Maybe it will or won't. I don't care. But I just felt like he was so uncomfortable. And the Pac-12 on Thursday would have been the time to me, had they had anything concrete where they could have released it on Thursday, which is what, remember, the Colorado president or chancellor told Sean Keeler, which, of course, that did not happen.
Yeah, I think he stumbled over himself unnecessarily, and the whole part about, well, we're not announcing it today because we don't want to take away the shine. I mean, we shot holes through that on Friday and said, well, you would have done the exact opposite. You would have answered all of the questions by announcing something, and you would have taken away all of the, well, what about, or is this team, is that team, is this? You would have eliminated all of that, and you could have just focused on football. And if anything, it would have been the perfect time to have a mixture of that celebration of the fact that that had come to a conclusion, and then also, you know, turn your attention towards the players and all of that. So, yeah, I thought that was kind of I don't know if it was an excuse or what that was intended to be. But it was made worse by the fact that when it was followed up, it's like, oh, well, you know, that's not, you're reading too much into it. It's like, so what are you saying exactly? You do or you, and like, it was just very confusing and unnecessarily so. And I think that kind of put a bit of a black eye a little bit that, you know, on those media days, rather than it just being kind of more smooth sailing. Now, having said that, I know there's, you know, obviously ongoing talk, and it'll never end until there's actually a TV deal. But what do you feel about the state of the conference following that? Because I'll tell you right now, I don't watch that on Friday and think, here comes Colorado, baby. I think the exact opposite. I think they're all staying together. I think the TV deal is going to come whenever it comes, and I don't think anybody from there is joining the Big 12. I'll just say that matter-of-factly. And if I'm wrong, I'll gladly eat crow. But as bad as that was at a certain point, it didn't make me go, oh, man, they're falling apart.
Here's what I thought, that you really got no answers at all.
No.
None. And to try to say you're going to focus on football, that didn't happen. And I know someone in the chat saying, well, we're tired of hearing about the Pac-12 and the media days. And I get it. I wasn't here Friday, so we're kind of summarizing through it. I spoke with many people, from former media consultants like Bob Thompson. I asked him if he wanted to come on today. He's in Washington, D.C. on something that is legal work that he's doing, so he's not available. And really, what has changed? Nothing. I thought it was an uncomfortable scene. And even some that have always said, well, everything's going to be fine. Paul, you shared today the story in The Athletic from Stuart Mandel, and even you could visibly, or I guess verbally or in words, see a little bit of that in another 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's just, it goes and goes and goes. The thing that surprises me so much about what happened on Friday is there are highly paid public relations people at all these conferences, or at least I hope they're highly paid, especially if you're the Pac-12 PR person. It's likely you live in San Francisco and your cost of living is upside down in your whole life. But that could not come up with the strategy of just tell them exactly what's going on as much as you can. We don't have one. We're not sure what the end date is, but we, as a conference, have decided that we're not worried about it because we think we will get a deal done that is good for us. And when we get that deal done, we will talk about expansion. But between George Kliavkoff and 10 conference presidents, there has not been a cohesive message other than another 2 weeks just coming around the corner. Where if the message from the beginning was a year ago when they said we're going to negotiate our TV deal is, don't give anybody a timeline. We don't know. Everything's in flux. We're trying to figure things out. So we're just going to say it's going to get done. We're still working on it. There's so much going on right now.
And
we'll
stop
figure it out.
giving deadlines or
Yeah.
timelines of weeks and or at the end of whatever month or the beginning of whatever event.
Yeah, and I think that's sound advice. I think they also kind of did some of that though, but it got lost in the mess of the symbols, right? Like there were some, no, it's all going to be fine and we're all get together, but that gets lost when George stumbles over his words. But I'm glad to hear that from Chat, at least some of Chat, because I'm in the same boat. I mean, I'm over it as well, but to catch up, given he wasn't here on Friday, I was interested in his thoughts on it because I walk away and I know that just glancing at social media, I mean, that's still all the rage. I'm not, deeply invested in it at this point, but yeah, I mean, I don't think anything major comes out of that other than it was just a bit of a misstep. But as far as I'm concerned, that all is going to stay together. And, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but I'm like some of the people in Chat, at least. I'm ready to move on from it and focus on football.
Yeah, me too. And then again, there is still discussion because there are other thoughts in the chat room about
Sure.
whatever the weekend might have brought. At least as of today, nothing changed since Friday, which nothing had changed since Monday, which nothing had changed since the month before. But how do we get in this situation?